Hello everyone. So my name is Nur Ain binti Abdul Aziz, and my action research project is using gallery walk technique to improve speaking skills and encourage students' participation in ESL classroom. Okay, so the problem statement for this action research is that, so this action research was actually based on the PPG2 video recording of my teaching. So in the classroom during that lesson, the students were reluctant to participate in the lesson, and they also refused to communicate in the targeted language, which was English. Okay, so these factors relate to the ineffective teaching and learning process because students were unable to reach the learning objective of the lesson. And this action research actually has two research objectives, which is to investigate whether gallery walk technique will bring significant improvements towards students' speaking skills, and to observe if students are willing to actively participate in the classroom when gallery walk technique is implemented. And there are two research questions for this action research, which is, does gallery walk technique provide significant improvement on students' speaking skill? And can gallery walk technique encourage students to participate in the classroom? Okay, so the methods used in this action research is that I've decided to use a qualitative approach because the main data mainly focuses on the classroom observation. And the samples for this research was taken from Form 2 students in an English language classroom. And the instruments used in this action research are classroom observation, which was the PPG2 video recording, transcription, which is the transcription for the PPG2 video recording, and document analysis. Okay, since this research could not be conducted in schools and could not be tested, there was no data available to support the claim of this study. So past research papers of the same topic will be used because the researcher will gain data from it, and also it will help in analyzing data for the action research. Okay, so from this action research, I found there were two findings, which was gallery walk actually provides opportunity to speak. So by implementing gallery walk in the classroom, the students are provided with the opportunity to practice using the language in the classroom. And also, it creates an environment where the students have to speak, since everyone is responsible for their own part. Since you all know that gallery work is a collaborative work, and each students have their own responsibility for their group. So this creates a purpose for the students to speak in the classroom. And also, by implementing gallery work, it actually creates a learning community for the students, because they are interacting with their peers and they are sharing info. So like I've stated before, they are given the opportunity to practice their language and also communicate and interact with their peers. And next is gallery walk can create a conducive learning environment for the students. Okay, by implementing gallery walk in the classroom, the learning environments for the students are more relaxed compared to a traditional classroom, because they are moving around and interacting with their peers more. And also, the environment is less formal compared to a traditional classroom, because instead of sitting down and listening to the teacher talk, the students move around, and each group has to present their ideas. So everyone has the same equal opportunity to share what they found, and also the same opportunity to speak in the classroom. All right, so for the challenges that I faced while conducting this action research was, the first thing was finding data. Because we could not conduct this research in schools, I had no data for my research, and in order to support my claims, I had to rely on past research to support them. Most of the past researches was journals that were based on how the usage of gallery walk and how the implementation of gallery walk affects the students in the classroom. And the next thing was the action research process was a bit confusing for me because this was the first time that I was conducting an action research. But I did receive guidance from my lecturer, so I managed to do the action research. And the last thing was I had trouble in writing a proper action research paper because this was an academic writing, and so there were rules and regulations that I needed to follow to write a proper one. But with the help of my friends and the lecturer, I was able to finish my research paper. And that is all from me. Thank you very much for listening.
Okay, Assalamualaikum and good morning. So, my name is Zulfadhli bin Lokman, and I'm going to present my action research project. The title of the action research project is the use of show and tell approach to enhance students' responsiveness in ESL teaching. So, for the problem statement of this action research project is that each student in the class have different passion in learning. What I mean by this is that when I started teaching in that class, I noticed that not all of the class, not all of the students in the class were passionate towards my teaching on that day. Only some of them, only like 2 to 3 students that were passionate in learning on that day. And the second problem statement is the students were not encouraged to learn. This is because maybe like the students feel like that English is not an important subject in their life. Thus, this discourage them to learn English. And for the research objectives, the first research objectives is to propose the show and tell method to ESL teachers so that it can be used in ESL classroom. And the second research objective is to observe if the students' response can be enhanced if this method is being used in ESL classroom. The research questions are why show and tell method should be used to increase students' participation in an ESL classroom, and how this method can help students to be more responsive in class. The method that I use in my action research project is a qualitative approach, and the sample were taken from Form 4 students in an English classroom. And the instruments that I used were classroom observation, interview, questionnaire, and also document analysis. The findings of this project, the show and tell method create opportunities for the class to speak. I found that by using show and tell method, based from the past research based from past research, show and tell method can create opportunities for the students in the class to speak, as this meet the students as the teacher and also the teacher as the facilitator. In order for the learning to be effective and in order for the students to understand the lesson for that day, the student have to speak and not only based from what the teachers are trying to say. And this also can make the lesson more effective, which is by the using of show and tell method. Instead of using a teacher-oriented method, show and tell method is more to student-oriented lesson. As the lesson can be more effective, and the learning of the students can understand what they are learning on that day. And the challenges that I faced during writing this action research, I found that it is quite difficult for me to find the data by past researchers, as this method, the show and tell method, is not that famous in Malaysia, and it is still new because of the 31st century teaching method. And also the action research process itself is very difficult for me, as this is my first time writing action research paper. And the last challenges that I found, that I face, is it is hard for me to write a proper action research paper, as it uh, requires me to cite and search for the articles that were made by past researchers. So that's all. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Xianting. Now I'm introducing my action research. My action research title is task-based language learning to improve student learning efficiency and ability in ISER classroom. Okay, for the problem statement, actually our action research based on PPT2 video recording. So there are three statements of the problem. Students were not efficient in learning English because when I ask students to do some exercise, some students run the answers wrong, and just a little student answers the right questions. So next is each student have different attitude in doing tasks in the classroom. And this is because students who don't like to talk in the classroom, so they tend to do exercise by themselves. But some students are tending to playing games or some interesting activities. So their attitude is different. And next is students who are not willing to participate. They are very rectangular. Next is the research objectives. There are two objectives in my action research. This is to force the master to be adapted in the English language class to increase the student learning efficiency and ability in the English classroom, to observe if the student response can really be improved if the teacher uses task-based teaching strategies in IC classroom. And there are three questions of the action research. The number one is, does task-based language teaching have any impact in improving secondary level ISER learners' learning efficiency and ability? Number two is, can use the task-based teaching technique encourage students to participate in the English classroom? And last is, what are the students and the teachers' attitudes and challenges towards implementing task-based teaching technique in the classroom? And then next is the method. The method used in my action research is that I'm deciding to use a qualitative approach, and this is because PPT we based on the PPT2 video recording in the classroom. So there are 24 students in my classroom. They are Form 2 students. I totally use 4 instruments. The number one is classroom observation, interview, document analysis, questionnaire. So the most important is that classroom observations. Next, that from the action research, I found that task-based teaching technique can stimulate student participate and motivation, and show and task-based teaching technique can make the lesson more effective and facilitate students' learning ability. And I also find that for the teachers, the biggest challenges is that teacher have to be more creative and more imagination in design task, because interesting is important for the student. Okay, in the end of the action research, there are many challenges for me. First, the whole content was hard to write, because when I doing the action research, I watched many times of the doctors teaching video, and I also consult my classmates, and I also research much information online. And the next is data analysis. Data analysis is difficult for the actual research, because we just based on the PPT2 video record. We don't have many other data to analysis. And the next is how to write proper action research is challenging. I hope I can write a good and the best action research in the future. Thank you all. That's all. Bye bye.
Good evening, Doctor. I'm going to present about the action research. So for the title of my action research is using jigsaw-based cooperative learning to improve students' participation in the ELSA classroom. So for the problem statement, because this action research is based on my PPT2 course, and I found that some of my students were not willing to participate in the classroom activity, and a few students refused to join in the group work. So I plan to create this action research. So for the research objective, is the two main objective for this action research. Is the first one is to determine the impact of the jigsaw technical on students in the ELSA classroom. And the second is observe how the jigsaw cooperative learning can be used to solve the problem in the ELSA classroom. So for the research questions, the two research questions for this action research. The first is whether jigsaw cooperative learning can encourage students' participation and the motivation in the ELSA classroom, and how the jigsaw cooperative learning engages the students' participation in the ELSA classroom. For the method of this of my action research paper, I used the qualitative approach, and the students is from two students in the English classroom. I designed two English classroom, which is the traditional English classroom and the jigsaw cooperative learning English classroom. And each classroom will have same title and same students, but in different teaching method. For the instrument, I use the classroom observation, and which is the classroom video recording and the interview that I will interview the students who are not willing to participate in the classroom before, and I will use a questionnaire to all the students in the classroom. And for the research funding, I found that the jigsaw cooperative learning can truly engage student participation and motivation in ELSA classroom. And the jigsaw cooperative learning engage student participation by assigning a specific work for each student in each team, because jigsaw cooperative learning to actually request every student to finish their work, and they need to communicate and teach their teammates. So they will have a lot of chance to practice their speaking language, speaking skill, and also their learning. Okay. And then for the challenge, I think in this assignment or in this action research, I think if the first one is I don't know how to write an action research paper properly, because this semester has a lot of problems that we cannot truly understand that. But after watch the doctor's teaching video, I got a lot of guidance from doctor. So I think I have solved this problem. And I also, for this action research, I need to know a lot of concepts and that I need to use in the action research. For example, the cooperative learning and others. And the last is a data analysis. As you know, in this semester, we cannot get the data from the school, and everything that I analyze is based on the my PPG video and the PPG report before. So I think it's also a challenge for me to analyze the data. So that's all from me. Thank you very much.